When he took his top off and I saw his chest, I was thinking, Jesus.
I just thought he's going to get yellow cards, isn't he? That's what I thought.
Mohamed Salah, after many years of being the top scoring player in FPL, will not continue his reign at the top of the tree.
It's definitely time for his breakout season at age 34. Getting in over the World Cup winning Hugo Lloris.
Welcome everyone, this is the All-In FPL show. I'm JB, as ever, I'm joined by my two colleagues. Usually it's the Nottingham Forest and the Man City, the FPL world they're known as, but today it's the Brazil and the Tunisia. I'll let you make up your minds who's who. We have Alex Doyle. How are you, Alex?
Hey John, I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Not too bad. Excited for the FPL fantasy, World Cup fantasy, sorry. Bit of a little bit different for us because we normally do FPL, but obviously everyone loves the World Cup. We always play it. So here to give everyone some advice. And also we have Josh Waldridge. How are you, Josh?
I'm good, JB. How are you?
Wonderful, thank you. Wonderful, thank you. You excited for the World Cup?
Yeah, I'm very excited, and I'm even more honoured that even though I've never been to Brazil or Tunisia, the people of those countries, one of them now like worships me, which is amazing. So I'm glad you've given me a legacy here to live through the World Cup.
Oh, you've always got a legacy. You've always got a legacy in fantasy games, Josh. Yeah, for anyone that don't know, Josh is if we have got any new viewers, Josh was the Fanteam champion. What was it, like 5 years ago now? But you still cling on to the glory. But you won the ultimate prize. It was a big prize offer, and you're now plying your trade in the World Cup.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect that you mention it because I normally just say it every episode. So I'm glad you brought it up for once. Yeah, so yeah, thanks.
Well, we've got to give you some credit every now and then.
Cool. Well, I think we're gonna take it. We're gonna take this pod. Sorry, we're recording in the morning. We normally record in the afternoon. It's my mind's a lot clearer. Morning, it's tough. But Josh is gonna take us through the rules for anyone who doesn't know of the game. We're then gonna look group by group, pick out some key fantasy picks, and then we'll go through our first drafts. So Josh, do you want to take us away with some of the rules?
Absolutely, yeah. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to say anything that's different or vastly different from FPL, okay? So to start with, you only get 1 point for appearance points. You don't get 2 points. So if you play over 60 minutes, you just get 1 point. So that's obviously, I don't think it's really significant because everyone gets the same, but that's just a scoring difference. You get 2 points for winning a penalty, regardless of whether it's converted or not. So you don't get 3-point assist for that if it's scored. You just get 2 points if it's won, regardless of if it's scored or missed. Defenders also, every player also loses a point for conceding a penalty as well. So again, kind of similar to Fanteam, but like just slightly different amount of points. Goalkeepers get 5 points for a clean sheet, but they have to play 70 minutes or more, which is a bit of a really weird distinction. But that's what they've gone for. So we'll go with that. Players get more highly penalised for conceding goals. So the first goal doesn't lose you any points, but every goal after that loses you a point. So if a team loses 7-0, that's -6 for a player, which is pretty significant. So don't pick anyone who gets drubbed, or at least be able to sub them off would be my thing, which we'll come to in a minute. Keepers get 9 for scoring a goal. And then as for other positions scoring a goal, defenders get 7.
Right. Josh Allison doesn't play in the World Cup, does he?
Well, the thing is, in knockout football, the goalies will always come up in the last minute. So like you have got a shot at one, I think, throughout the tournament. But Doyle, I was just in a good mood this morning, and you've just brought up one of the worst moments of my life against my own West Brom as well. So So defenders get 7 points for a goal. Midfielders and strikers both get 5. So there's an interesting thing there where midfielders and strikers get the same for a goal. That has to favour strikers, I think, just from a strategy point of view. I think that just has to lean you more towards strikers because they're just more likely to score in most cases. The defenders are the same as the goalkeepers for conceding and everything, so I won't go on to that. Midfielders get a point for every 3 tackles and a point for every 2 key passes. So that's obviously different to any other game we've played before, and it's sort of similar to Sky, I suppose. And then forwards get a point for every 2 shots on target. that's all I could see in the scoring. Anything that stands out to you boys there?
That's pretty cool. I'm interested to see how often the tackles and key passes come into effect, to be honest with you. I'm guessing it's based on Opta stats, but who knows?
Yeah.
At this point.
So key passes are much more likely than tackles. From playing the Sky game, the most tackles we've ever seen in a game is 9 this season. So that would be 3 points, which is still really cool. Like, that's really good. But that was like an all-time high, and it actually happened at the weekend. Fulham against
Sky players have the insight into this. Then
it's the key passes is not a metric on Sky, so this is new for sort of everybody. But I do think basically all it needs is for the player to pass the ball and it to lead to a shot. So like for directly from that player. So there can be a lot of key passes, I think. Yeah. So yeah, going to be a fun one. And I guess it just slightly shapes the kind of players you'd pick. Obviously, like it's only 1 point for 2 key passes and 1 point for 3 tackles. Like it can add up a little bit, but yeah, just something to keep in mind. I think if you're like on the fence about a few players.
Yeah, it's good for ticker style players like Eriksen, Modric. I'm guessing, right? Those sort of players feel pretty good in that sense. I think for me as well, interesting. The defenders is really interesting. Like losing a point every goal conceded, as well as the getting, was it what, 6 points? Did you say for a goal? 7 points?
7 for a goal for defenders.
Yeah, so I think for me that just lends itself to premium defenders that aren't going to concede a lot and have attacking potential. So 5 at the back feels good to me.
JB, any thoughts?
Yeah, just similar to what you guys just said. I think I wouldn't worry too much about the scoring changes if you play FPL in terms of this. Only really the defenders, like Doyle said, scoring the extra goal, especially with, again, we'll obviously touch on it a little bit, but the group stages where the bigger teams play the smaller teams and you can maybe expect a 4 or 5-0 drumming. Defenders from them teams could be very valuable if they're going to get 7 points for a goal. And likewise, in the opposite way, if you are going to pick really budget defenders, if it's a point every goal almost that you're losing, you'd maybe for a bench for the £3 million defender, it might not be worth it because they're just going to end up on -2 or something. So maybe that's to be taken into consideration a little.
Yep. And do you want to touch on captains and subs, Josh?
Yeah, captains, subs, and boosters are my 3 remaining agenda items for this section.
I like the word booster. That
yeah,
I'm excited already just by hearing that.
Really nice the rules as we go, isn't it, JB?
Yeah, this is like a tutorial just for me.
Exactly. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Right, now that there's silence, I may begin. So you get 1 captain per day. So it would be highly advisable, in my opinion, to have a player in the Qatar-Ecuador game on Sunday. So then you can have a captain. Who knows? They might haul and you might leave it on them. You know what I mean? So basically, you get to move the captain once per day. So there's games on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in week 1. So you can have a captain per day as long as you don't stick. So if you have a player who scores really well for you as captain, you're going to stick probably, say, if they get more than 10 points or something like that.
But you can always twist, right? You never have to like choose to stick. You could always twist like down the line, right? You don't have to like.
Yeah, as long as it's not the last day. If it's the last day, you're stuck with that player, obviously, because there's no more games that match day.
But what I mean from a strategy point of view, if you get more than 10 points, you're going to stick, I think. I think that's a line I've set. Maybe it's a bit more. Maybe it's a little bit higher.
It depends on where it is, I think, during the week. I mean, I play Champions League quite a bit, and it's very similar scoring to this. I think if obviously there's four days in the match day. I think they call it a match day over a game week. I have to check that and get the right terminology. Right. But if there's 4 days and you're on the 3rd day already, and you know maybe you've only got 1 player the next day, and he's already got 7 points or 8 points, then you've got a real decision. Maybe you do stick because you've only got 1 more player who's a defender for Holland or something the next day. So you need to take that into consideration.
I meant from the point of view of if you get 10 on game 1, would you stick on that?
Yeah, I think game week 1, I think you've got to set a threshold, haven't you, per day? You think day one, if you get 10 points, that is a real decision. And
JB sticking with 6 for sure.
you know what I'm
Stick
like.
with
I'll
6
stick.
then.
I'll have an assist and I'll be sticking in 4 points. Take it and run.
Do you have any thoughts on the threshold per day, or like, do you think?
No, it's like JB said. It's all very It's just day to day. Like it all depends on how late you're on the week. Very dynamic on it, really, and who you've got left to play. Like if I had, I think, oh god, I think Messi plays before.
He's got Saudi Arabia, any
for instance. So if I had Messi and he'd scored 8 points, 9 points, but Mbappe was still to play, I'd twist off that. But if I didn't have Mbappe, I just had Messi with his 9-pointer, for instance, and I've got instead like mid-price mids left, I'd just stick with the 8-9 points, I think.
I think I'm going to set some rules for myself so I don't break the rules. So I think if I get 10 at any point, I'm going to stick on 10. I think it's too greedy to pivot off 10. I think like that's my line. And then I think if I have 7 or 8, which I need to decide which one with 2 days to go, I'm going to stick on that as well, because that's just a good score. Like you just don't need to be too greedy, and you still get half the points of the players you get later on, even if you don't captain them. You know what I mean? So
it's interesting though. Say you did have, your player's got 5 points, you got 10 points from a captain, and then you got Messi against Saudi Arabia though. What do you do? I think it's an interesting. I really like this game because it makes you think a little bit more. It's not just you set your line up, deadline comes, and that's it. Every day it involves you, and because it's only a short format, I know it's like 3 weeks or whatever, but you can really get stuck into the World Cup, and it's a bit more engrossing. You're watching Ecuador v Senegal, and like suddenly it's like life or death. So I can't wait for it to start.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Do you know if you put a lot of the captains in at the start of the day, or can you do it at any point during the day?
I think before the first kickoff.
Does it lock in? Yeah, I feel like it did last World Cup, but
I think you have up until kickoff to choose your team. So you can. It's worth waiting to see the lineups in the first game of the day when it first starts. Every game's at 10 o'clock, so it'd be worth seeing the team sheets at 9ish.
Cool.
Then analysing them and see who you want.
Should we go through the chips, Josh?
Absolutely, yeah. So just
the boosters.
Oh, subs as well. So we got subs first, don't we?
Substitutions really quickly. This is to like prevent really bad scores from within your team. So the one thing is, I don't think you'll be able to sub off if your player gets a red card.
Yep.
That's the same on that was the same on the Champions League game, the same on the Euros game. I think that's going to be the same. So that's just really annoying if your player gets a red card or you've started, but you just have to stomach that. Everyone else, you can, if they get a bad score, like if they concede a penalty, if they concede 5 goals as a defender, you can sub them off for players who are still to play. So the idea is you set your team with your 4 latest players on the bench who have a fixture. So in FPL, obviously, we'd set it with our 4 fodders, basically, or whatever. But in this game, you just set in your bench in match week 1 to players who play, say, on Wednesday and Thursday, I think. You also want 2 goalkeepers who play on different days, so you can have 2 shots at the 2 bites of the cherry. You don't shoot cherries. 2 bites at the cherry for you 2 goalkeepers. So, yeah, and as I say, I think before each match day starts, you can make 1 substitution, or you can make 3 substitutions, or you can make the amount of substitutions that you've got left, basically up to 4. The only caveat is you can only sub on a player who hasn't played yet, which is why I said put your players who play Wednesday and Thursday on the bench, basically. And then you can maybe assess it on Wednesday morning would be a good strategy, I think, if all your players are only to play on Wednesday and Thursday. I think that makes sense.
Yeah. So how heavy would you, JB, how heavy would you go on your bench players? Like obviously in FPL, you're used to setting, a lot of us are used to setting fodder players like a 4.0 defender, a non-playing striker. How do these rules impact that for you?
So again, this is why I really like this game, and there's still 2 ways you can play this. Personally, I like to have every player who's decent. So I look at it as 15 really good players, because you generally do use all of your bench. When you do construct your team, though, you want to make sure that you don't go too heavy with players on the last day or the first day, because you want a good mix of players who are going to play throughout the week, so that you can swap them in gradually. So you can take, if someone does blank, then you can bring one in, but you obviously don't want everyone playing on the last couple of days, because if they do blank, then there's nothing you can do about it. If you've got 5 players on the last day, you have to hope that they haul. So you do need to watch how you go along each day. But yeah, like I said, I prefer to have good squad, so I don't really have any fodder. I like to, as long as the structure's good of your team and they're all going to play, I like to gradually introduce them and make sure that they're all very good players. I don't really go for fodder. But interestingly, with that, because I normally play Champions League, but with the World Cup, we're going to see some really skewed games. So there is the option here where you do want maybe Messi, Mbappe, and Kane up front, and to do that, you have to have some £3-4 million players that you can get in this game to allow you to do that. So it depends on if you want to take advantage of, Argentina, Saudi Arabia, or England, Iran, whatever games you're looking at, Netherlands, Qatar for the big hitters. So it depends on, the structure of your team and how you want to attack the fixtures. Personally, I'm going a bit of both, so I'm not going too heavy. Every single player in mine's half decent. But how about you guys?
Josh, what do you think? And do you have any point thresholds for subbing out players? I know you love your thresholds.
Yeah, I think anything below 3, I normally sub off in these games. But it does depend who you've got to come on, to be honest. So if you've got an absolute fodder who plays on Thursday or Wednesday, as in someone who starts but just is pretty crap, that's going to come up quite a lot, I think, in this game. Then 3 might be enough to just leave on the pitch, I think, to just leave them off, especially if they've got a tough fixture or whatever, for whatever reason, if they're a defender. I think 2 is always a sub off, and 1 has to be, 1 absolutely has to be. So, let alone the minus points. So, yeah. I think leaving it till Wednesday, though, gives you say you've got 3 players on the bench who play after Wednesday, so Wednesday or Thursday, I think the best thing to do is to leave your subs till Wednesday morning, because you get the full picture of everyone who's played. So you can literally just take off the 3 worst. So then you don't need a threshold then, really, or maybe you do to see if you make 2 or 3 subs, but you can just look who's the lowest scorers and sub them off accordingly. So I think that's what I'm going to do for match week 1 and see if it works, basically.
Cool. Chips.
Yeah, chips, boosters.
Boost.
First booster, wild card. I am not explaining this one. You get a wild card where you can make unlimited transfers. The only thing to talk about this is you get another wild card before the round of 16. So you want to be using your wild card. I think, to me, there's a clear time to use it. JB, have you got an idea when you might use yours?
Yeah, for the wild card.
Yep.
So basically, again, there's a couple of different scenarios you can do. For me, I'm looking to use it in game week 3 or match day 3, if you want to call it. That way, because we're automatically given a wild card for the last 16, you know that from last 16 onwards, you're going to shape your team by the who's going to play who's qualified. So you can forget about that completely. So for the first 3 weeks, I'm looking to attack the first 2 fixtures. So I'm looking at who's got the best fixtures for the first match and the second match, literally just picking from them that pool of players, really. And then I'm going to wild card in the 3rd game week, because by that point, a lot of teams will be through and there'll be rotation. So previous Euros and World Cups, if a team is through, they'll generally be playing a different striker, or someone might get rested, someone will only get 45 minutes. You see mass rotation. So in that scenario, I want to know in game week 3 who's really going to be playing a full strength team. So for instance, if Portugal need a result against Mino, you know that they're going to go heavy, and you can get in Cancelo. You might be able to get Ronaldo, Fernandes, whereas nobody else is probably going to start with them, maybe. So it's interesting, but that's probably the way I'm looking at it so far. How about you?
Go on, Doyle.
I have not looked at it in any way, shape, or form, to be honest with you. So I'm playing it off the cuff. I do agree with the logic, though. That seems to make sense, that you sort of free hit game week 3 and then wildcard game week 4. Hadn't thought about it, but yeah, I agree with JB.
I think so. I'm dismissing the idea of week 2. I think a lot of people will go for game week 2. I think it'll be very popular, because they'll just see the first round of games and then be like, okay, I can fill my team with. Also, weirdly, in game week 2, I think you're supposed to pick a lot of players who play for good teams who haven't had a good result in week 1, because then they're guaranteed to play in 2 and 3, if that makes sense. Because if the team's lost in week 1, they have to play their best team in 2 and 3, don't they?
Yeah, but then do you want a player from teams who obviously ain't performed well in game week 1. That's the issue, I'd say.
Well, if Messi lost to Saudi Arabia, I'd still pick him in 2 and 3. I think so. I think there's plenty. There'll be plenty of examples. There'll be a team that are really good who've just had a bit of a banana skin in week 1, and like you just can triple up on them. You know what I mean? I think that's like a good strategy for people who wild card in 2. I'm considering the quarterfinals because I do know that these things can go horribly wrong in the last 16. If you pick 15 players, you only get 4 transfers between the last 16 in the quarters. I think you could easily have more than 4 players knocked out, like easily. And I think you want a squad of 15 for as long as possible, just to maximize the subs and stuff. So I can see the quarterfinals being a really good time to use it. And I think that's why I'm leaning. Go on, mate.
The only flip side to that I see is that the top scoring game weeks are all the group stage ones, essentially. After it gets to quarterfinals, semi-finals, it starts to get a bit. There doesn't seem to be as many points around in these tournament games. Well, at least from my experience playing in the past with the Euros and the World Cup before that. So I think there's maybe an edge to playing it before, but I get the argument, like you say. There could be quite a few upsets in the round of 16.
I think that's partly why I want to do it as well, because you think quarterfinals, you've got 4 games, semi-finals, there's just 2 games, and it's generally going to be really good teams. You'd imagine the odds are it's going to be, Brazil or Argentina playing each other or something. And even in FPL, we know that when
could be Brazil, Germany again.
Who knows? The 7-1 are you referring to? Or
yeah, that one.
But it's likely that it will be better teams against better teams, so there might not be as many points. Like when Liverpool play Man City at the weekend or something, everyone thinks, oh, it's a tough fixture. It's not as appealing, is it? So you want to attack them early fixtures when there's loads of games. There's going to be massive scores. It's like if Man City play Forest at home, everyone wants triple City. So it makes sense in my eyes to attack where there's possibly the biggest advantage. At least that's what the odds would say, I'd guess.
Yeah, I'm going to look at fixture splits and stuff like that as well and see if there is major ones between 2 and 3. If there are, then I'd probably do that. If not, I might do the Josh strategy of quarterfinals. But let's move on to the next chip because we're already running long. And we
can't help it, can we? We just we love it too much.
JB's got a hard out.
Yeah, I'm just going to explain these 2 chips and then we're going to move on to groups, I should say. We'll just deal with each group as a whole, I think.
Yeah.
So 12th man, this allows you to select 1 additional player. He cannot be your captain. He will not be subbed in or out. You just get a 12th man, irrespective of budget. So you can pick whoever you want as your 12th man and you get him for 1 week and you get his points added to your other 11 that you land on, basically. So I think it's a good... Go on.
So sorry, so he doesn't have to be in your team, this guy?
He goes like on the side where the manager would be on FIFA. So he goes like in the square box, like on where the manager is on if you play FIFA.
You can just pick anyone in the game that's not in your team and just get them as the extra man?
Yes, before they've played.
Oh, that is so cool. I love that.
Yeah, you can't captain him. You get him for 1 week. So you're trying to target a fixture that's really good where the player probably has shit fixtures around it or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good one. Good one for week 1, good one for week 2 or 3, I think. I think this one's a really good one for the group stage. For sure.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, you haven't done it, so it's locked in now. So right, that's not happening. But it would have been a really good one to use in week 1, I think, for a lot of people. So I think a lot of people will do that. So yeah.
Is it unlimited transfer? Like you can literally choose anyone?
You could choose anyone, no budget. You pick your favorite player, basically.
So you've got your squad, spent your money, and it's literally anyone. Because this is the one thing that's completely new. It's never been in any game before. So I'm a little bit skeptical with this one. When there's a new chip involved, I'm scared to touch anything or do anything. But I do like the sound of it.
Yeah. So it's going to be like the likes of Mbappe, Lewandowski, Messi, Kane are going to be very popular in this spot. I would advise you use most of your budget on it. So like, just like obviously pick an expensive player, I would imagine. Like Doyle will decide that he wants a 6 million player in the position or something, but like spend your money.
It's points, not pounds, Josh. That's what I always tell you. Points, not pounds. Okay.
Finally, power captain. This is the one no spoilers actually. But, will allow you to get double.
The big thing about this chip is that once you click it, you cannot reverse it, and I can guarantee that.
Yeah, we
Someone
know,
found this out in the testing
we know
phase,
that
didn't
for
they?
sure. Yeah. So power captain, basically, you don't deal with the captain for a whole match week, and you just get your highest scoring player as your captain. It's really cool for like, if you're really struggling between lots of options, or if you're struggling between two options who play on the same day. It's really good to play the power captain that week, I think, because it just means you get the chance of hitting both those captains who play on the same day, basically. So yeah, I think it's a really good chip. Cannot be undone. Amazing. Let's move on to the groups, please.
Yeah, let's go group by group then. I hope we've all got the groups open, or we have memories of it. People actually remember what they are, because I struggle with that. Group A, we got Qatar, Ecuador, Senegal, and Netherlands. What are we targeting in that group, boys?
I think we know what we're targeting here, don't we? This is some of the stuff dreams are made of for fantasy. I think this
Agreed.
is one of the groups you need to look at. And
Goose
obviously,
Qataris on the drugs, on the injections, triple Qatar. That's the way to go.
well, there is rumours that they've bribed everyone already, and
Those
that
rumors are always coming out, weren't they?
they're gonna they're gonna win the first game 1-0. So we all on triple Qatari defence for the first game.
Yeah, that's what Greg said in the group chat, didn't he? Stealing that one there, JB. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, but I think obviously looking at Group A, you obviously want Netherlands. So the way I'm looking at it, I'm looking at teams with two good fixtures in game week 1 and 2. So obviously it doesn't even matter with Netherlands because all three of them they should do fairly well. So yeah, I'm looking at a triple up on Netherlands. The other three teams, I did a little bit of research. Nobody stuck out at all really. So yeah, triple up on Netherlands for me. Same with you guys.
I will not have a triple up on Netherlands, no. But I do realise they've got a lot of good players. So Bergwijn, Dumfries stand out as two for me, like that I think are really, really good. Interestingly, I do think you want a Qatar or Ecuador player because they play on a single game day. So I think you do want one for the captaincy on Sunday. The two goalies stand out to me. So Al Sheeb is 4 million for Qatar and Dominguez is 4.5 for Ecuador. Ecuador are also a remarkably good defence. I think they've kept 6 clean sheets in their last 6 games. So I think having their goalkeeper is probably a very reasonable thing who you can then sub out if he does blank. I've also got an Ecuador defender in my team. I think Estupinan, who plays for Brighton, I think. Yeah, he's 4.5, and I think that's very reasonable for a very attacking defender. So yeah.
He's got a lot of assists as well, and I think he plays a little bit further forward as well sometimes.
Yeah, he's a wing back. Yeah. And as for Senegal, I like Ismail Assar now. Mane's out because he is on penalties and he's very good.
Yeah, what's his price on this?
I don't actually know. I didn't actually put him in my final draft, but on Fanteam he's 7.5 million, which is very useless information.
Yeah, thanks for that, Josh. On here he is. I think he's a forward on here.
Yeah, no good then. I don't think we're going to want that. I think you want to spend up. I think you want to spend up front. Yeah. Any to add, Doyle? Any players to add from this group?
I love Gakpo. Even as a 7 mil forward, like you say, the issue is the fact he's a forward, and I think I'm possibly not going to end up with him because I want to spend up. But he's just a great player. Love watching him, and he's going to be playing just in that hole which Wijnaldum was playing in during the Euros, where he had so much success from. So I think he's a really good pick, even if I don't end up there myself. But 7 million feels too cheap for sure.
Yeah, just looking at the Dutch players, like I said, I think Dumfries, fantastic player. He's set the Euros alight and gets forward so much.
He had an injury, right? He had a knock, but I think he's okay. So,
yeah, I think he should be fine. And he could even be captain on the second game for me. Second day.
Yeah.
For me, I probably won't get involved in the first game week. I just think I'll end up subbing him out eventually anyway, but I don't mind the strategy Josh did say about the goalkeeper, because goalkeeper, all you're really looking for is a clean sheet, and there obviously is a high probability of getting one in the first game. I think even if you get a clean sheet and you captain him, I still think you're probably going to change him, because there's no way you wouldn't when you've got Messi, Mbappe, whoever you're going with.
It's just you're just looking for a penalty save, right? That's the
yeah, and then you never know, might get up to 10 points for Josh's threshold, but
easy 10 points if he keeps a clean sheet. He gets easy.
What if they score? He's sorted.
It seems like the sort of thing that would happen. Yeah. Anyone else from Netherlands, JB, before we round this one off?
Obviously Depay, but he may not be playing the first game. He might be on the bench.
He won't play the first game. He won't play the first game.
I think the manager's already said that as well and come out with a quote about it. So he's maybe one for further down the line, but he's still looking very good. He's pretty cheap as well in the game. And Bergwijn as well, I'm looking at as well. Listed as a midfielder. It's interesting. They've listed Bergwijn as a midfielder and Berghuis as a striker. And they should actually be the other way around. I think they made a mistake because the names are so similar.
Yeah, I might do that. Gakpo to Bergwijn switch just because Bergwijn's a midfielder. But
Bergwijn's going to play up top, and then Gakpo's going to be just behind him. So it just makes sense to have Bergwijn, I think.
Yeah.
What's happened to my voice?
Too early, Josh. It's too early. All that talk of the boosters, it's got you going.
More coffee, right? Group B. Let's be quick. I'm in charge of timekeeping.
Okay, Group B, England's group: England, Iran, USA, Wales. Obviously, England are the standout team here. I think everyone feels like this group's not going to be a lot of goals. It's going to be quite tight. So for me, I think it's England defense. I do like a couple of pieces though from other teams. In the attacking sense, I like Gareth Bale at 8 million. I think obviously he's on all the set pieces. He's the talisman, so I quite like that. And Captain America for fun times, Christian Pulisic, is a fun little flair pick that I quite like. What about you guys?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, like you said, not many goals involved. I say not many goals. I think England will score a few goals. I could see England winning 3-0 against certain teams, but I think the clean sheets are the one you want to be looking at from England because I think there's a high probability of that. So I'd be looking at their defenders. So they got some good picks. I think Trippier, Shaw, for instance, not too bad. Even the goalie. Other than that, again, I like Bale. I think his first two fixtures is against USA and Iran. England, Wales are last. So if you are going with a strategy of wildcarding in 3, that's 2 decent fixtures for him before he ultimately probably gets injured. So you can avoid that as well. And USA, there's a few decent picks for USA, but I'm so skeptical about how they'll play. I don't know whether they'll be really good or just bang average. But obviously Pulisic is on a lot of set pieces and stuff like that, so he would probably be the pick from there. Josh?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Trippier and Shaw are amazing at 5 million each. Harry Kane's going to be very popular, I think. I'm not going to go there myself, but I think he's obviously a very reasonable pick. I like the USA goalkeeper, actually, Turner. I think he could be very good for 4-5. I really want a defensive asset from one of the other 3 teams because I think there will be like a lot of clean sheets available in this group. Ward, Hennessy, I can't call who's going to start. I wish I could go for Danny Ward, the hero, the absolute hero that is Danny Ward, but I can't call that he's going to start because Hennessy started every game for the last 2 years for Wales. So yeah. You'd think with Ward's form, he'll probably get the nod, but I don't think I can know that for sure. More risky people amongst me would probably pick him and just hope he starts, but I'm just going to take Turner, who I know is going to start for USA, I think. I think the Pulisic shout's very reasonable. Is Bale a striker on this or a mid?
Striker.
Okay, yeah, I'm not going to pick that then. But if he was a mid, I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, I think I might go there still. I really like Gareth Bale across games just because of that talisman reason. Yeah, and I think the only other one to point out, I think Phil Foden is an interesting option at 8.5. I don't think he's going to pick up a lot of ownership. Maybe he does just because he's English and a lot of English people playing the game compared to what countries I'd imagine. But I think a lot of people in the mindset that we said at the start, it's going to be a defensive group, not a lot of goals. So a way to potentially get a little bit different is going for some attackers from these teams.
You're breaking my golden rule. My first golden rule on international fantasy is never pick England players because everyone else picks them. You want to be different. Like everyone picks them. It's mental. Harry Kane is the easiest fade for me on the whole game because half the game's going to own him. So I'm just like absolutely fine. You guys take him. I'll sit out, I think.
Yeah, I'm not going to pick him. I think he's too expensive, personally. Group C, moving on. Argentina, Saudi Arabia, Mexico, Poland. How do we like it?
I don't like any Saudi Arabia players.
Shock.
From Argentina, I like a guy called Lionel Messi. He's really good.
I heard about him.
Lad, many.
Yeah, he's going to come in under-owned, I think, for sure. Like, I don't think many people will be picking him. Yeah, so he's great. I've seen someone with Lisandro Martinez. He's very cheap. If he's going to start, I think he's amazing. The striker for Argentina, I think he's 8 million.
Lautaro Martinez, right?
Yeah, Lautaro Martinez. Yeah,
Sandro Martinez, the United defender.
Yeah, he
Is
might struggle for goals.
L Martinez. Yeah, is the striker who's 8 million.
And he will start. I'm pretty
yeah.
sure of that. He's
And
pretty
Di
good.
Maria's 8.5. They absolutely love him. Like, he's a really good pick as well, I think. I'm not interested in Argentina defensively, actually. It just doesn't quite interest me for the price and the attacking output. And then the other one I really like. So the other two I really like are Cash and Lewandowski from Poland. Cash is 4 million.
Yeah,
That seems great as a wing back. That is amazing. And then Lewandowski's got Saudi Arabia in week 2. So I'm just thinking ahead for that, really. I think that might be a really
and he's
amazing
always
pick.
capable of picking up a goal, right? As well, like he's just again talisman sort of player, always capable of just chipping in with a goal. So
He's the kind of guy who could get 5 goals in 3 games in the group stage, and that's the kind of guy you're looking for as your hero pick, I think. Yeah. Any other ones to add, boys? JB?
Yeah, no, similar. Argentina. I really like the fixtures in this group. So, Martinez, Messi, like you mentioned, those in my first draft as well. So I like them. Mexico, Poland, they got some interesting players. I think, like you said as well, Poland could be great value with Cash. I assume he will start. I think he's most people are saying he will start. And for 4 million, especially that second game as well, looks really, really appealing. And they've got Zielinski, I think that's how you pronounce it. He's on a lot of set pieces and stuff. Goes forward, attacking midfielder, reasonably priced. Obviously, gets to play Saudi Arabia. And Mexico's not the worst game in the world either. So he could be a decent cheap pick if you're looking for, like I said, if you want them sort of players who are not premiums necessarily, but you want a good squad, someone who's can deliver in certain games, that he could be like a sort of edge piece, or sort of if you want a good strong bench. Mexico, the only players who I noticed was I think the defensive midfielder is 4.5 million. Herrera, he's meant to be nailed and seems half decent. So if you're looking for a real budget pick, maybe him. Yeah, I'm not sure on the fitness of Jimenez. He ain't obviously played for Wolves, so could be a bit of a risky pick going into it.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm not touching any Poland or Mexico players. I don't think. I think I just looked at Lewandowski's 10 million. That's just too much for me. Like
Cash at 4, though, no? Is that not a good play?
Yeah, it is a good play. It is a good play. I don't think I'll go there. I don't really think Poland are a particularly good team, nor do I think Mexico are a particularly good team, to be honest with you. I think they're both pretty poor. So I'm just going to fade that.
Yeah, I feel like they could cancel each other out as well. Mexico, Poland in the same game, and then they get to play Argentina. It could be risky.
They're both below par teams, I think, and yeah. So I'll probably fade that group aside from Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I didn't even look at Mexico because obviously Mexico play Argentina in the second game, whereas Poland play Saudi Arabia. I think that's completely different. Like, you've got to be like front heavy in this sort of tournament.
That's what interests me about Poland, the fact that second game.
Yeah. One final one I missed was Rodrigo de Paul. He's very, very popular. He's 5 million. He gets lots of assists. He will probably chip in with the weird tiers as well with key passes and tackles. So yeah, 5 million.
He seems very popular.
Kind of pick. Yeah, not my kind of pick. Very boring, but he will probably tick over. So
he'll be captain for me then.
Yeah, he'll be your captain. Yeah, for sure.
Get a solid 5 points.
Group next
Group D. So we got France, Denmark, Tunisia, and Australia. I think obviously France are an interesting team. Definitely, in my opinion, the most talented squad in the tournament. A definite lack of cohesion though in recent years. A lot of infighting and other issues going on there. Poor management, whatever you want to call it. But if they can get it together, they are obviously a very dangerous team with Mbappe, Benzema, and they have got Australia first game, who are one of the worst teams in the tournament and are also apparently not very defensive minded. They like to go forward, which could leave a lot of space for Mbappe and co. What do we think, boys, about France particularly to start?
Are we looking at anything other than the 3 forwards? Is that where we've landed? I think that's where I've landed.
I think Pavard's quite cheap, personally. So I think he could be an option. I think he's slightly underpriced for France, just in terms of value for money. But like you say, I think you want more attacking players.
Yeah, not for me.
What
Just
is he 5'5" or?
he's 5 mil.
Wow, that's really good. I'm having that one. That one's really good. Thanks, JB.
Otherwise, you're welcome. Yeah, on France and Denmark, with my strategy, they play each other in game week 2, so slightly puts me off because I really rate Denmark. I think they're everyone calls them the dark horses going into it, but I think they're even slightly better than dark horses if you look at their form. So yeah, that does slightly put me off with my strategy, but yeah, Griezmann's quite cheap as well up front. I noticed him. I love a bit of value. He's only, I think, 8.5 compared to a lot of the big strikers who are 10, 11 million. So Griezmann's in my first draft as well.
He plays quite deep for France. So like when I saw him in the Euros, particularly, I remember he was playing in a very, very deep position.
Yeah, a lot more link-up play. So I think if you have a look at the stats, Benzema and Mbappe, they're ridiculous shots in the box, shots on goal, whereas Griezmann's more like the assist merchant, but he still gets a lot of goals as well. So I'm definitely not put off by him. And then Denmark, obviously, I touched on them. I think Christian Eriksen pulls the strings for them. And if anything happens, he'll be involved. He'll be getting lots of assists. He's on set pieces. So I think he's a really good pick on the game. And he could be even a captain shout when they're not playing France. And then one other player, Skye Olsen.
Yeah, I've got him.
I've never seen him play, but from what I read, he seems pretty decent. So yeah, I think he'll be a popular pick.
Yeah, he's like 10 million on Fanteam and he's 6 million here, which feels like a bit of a.
So what I will say is Denmark are the most underpriced team on this website by quite a distance, I would say. Like you say, on Fanteam, Doyle, they're all about 3 million more expensive. Yeah. It's like pretty crazy. Like Damsgaard's a really good pick over here. He's 6 million. That's really good as well. But I'm leaning Skov Olsen for the same price. Mailer is 4.5. That is obscene. That is the biggest mispricing I've ever seen. That's very dramatic. That is not true.
No, I agree with that. Sorry, I meant to mention
4.5 too cheap. Yeah,
superb for 4.5 million. I can't see how you go about him.
Yeah, he's going to be very, very, very highly owned. So I've literally got Eriksen, Skov Olsen, and Mailer in my team at the moment because I think they're all underpriced. Eriksen more because of the way the rules are shaped with the key passes, the tackles. He's going to get a bit of everything. He's on all the set pieces. He's just like absolutely obscene for Denmark. And then Doyle, which other France strikers have you got? Have you got any of them?
I don't at the moment. I mean, I might end up with Mbappe, to be honest with you, just because of that first fixture, and particularly when I'm playing a chip that gives you the highest scoring player, it feels pretty good to have the two, the two lads with the best fixture in the week. So I think I'll probably tinker my way around to end up with Mbappe, who's the one I prefer for sure, out of him and Benzema.
Benzema's calling me. He's just going to get so much less ownership again. He's just going to be so low owned.
Yeah, I do like that though. Yeah, and he's on penalties, right? So
on one of my Fanteam teams, I've doubled it up. Actually, I've gone Benzema and Mbappe. I think you're really attacking the Australia upside there, just trying to like target a 5-goal game or something. I think that's very, very reasonable to do that.
I was just about to say the opposite of that. I was going to say the reason I ain't quite looked at them is because you've got Mbappe and Benzema sharing everything. So, if they win 3-0, one of them might cancel the other one out because, if you pick a team with only one talisman who generally scores and they're going to win 3-0, he could be involved in everything. Whereas with France, they've got so many different routes with Benzema, Mbappe, Griezmann. You ain't got
to worry about Griezmann getting yeah. I wouldn't worry about
that. They have two routes.
Philip Billing has been renamed to Antoine for the next month. This is the new plant.
He's gone continental, yeah. Right. So I think we've covered everything there, right? I don't think we want anything from the other two teams, do we?
No, let's move on. Oh no, I feel like Doyle was just about to chip in with a Tunisian player then. Come on.
No, what's his name for Tunisia up front?
Khazri, is it?
Wabi Khazri?
Yeah, Khazri could be.
Player, yeah.
He's 4.5, right, or something?
Yeah, he's cheap, yeah.
He's a mid as well. Wow, that's amazing.
He was in one of my drafts, actually, to be fair, so we probably could have mentioned him.
Yeah, I looked at him.
Sure, he was in one of my drafts now that Doyle
this is
he's my captain, actually. Yeah. I'm capping him this week, yeah.
Yeah, he's a sneaky one if you need a budget player. He feels a pretty good player.
I
He's
did
more
take him out
exciting than
yesterday.
Rodrigo De Paul, isn't he? He's much more exciting than Rodrigo De Paul, yeah.
He's a bit of a flair player. He was at South Sunderland and he's half decent player. They love him over there. He's got a lot of skill. He's quite creative. So
He's on all set pieces as well. He's really good pick.
right, he's in all our teams now.
Right, we're on a fun group now. Group E: Germany, Spain, Japan, and Costa Rica. After Costa Rica's great escape out of the group in the is it the last? No, it was 2 World Cups ago when they beat the group England, Uruguay, and was it Italy? That was a group of death.
Yeah.
That was a group of death. Do you see them doing that again?
No.
No, neither do I.
Right. Can you boys tell me when you're on the Japan section so I can go make a coffee or something? Because I'm not interested at all. Whereas I think you two are going to be really interested in Japan.
Yeah. Japan. This is all about Japan. We got a half an hour segment on Japan now. Well, mainly about my boy Kamada, who I absolutely love. 5.5 million. He's been playing up front sometimes, just behind the striker at other times, and has been scoring for Japan as well. Plays in the Bundesliga, I believe, and has got great stats there. 5.5 million. He's not moving out my team.
Is that the guy from Frankfurt or is that someone else?
Yeah, he is. He plays for Frankfurt. Yeah.
Right.
He's great. He's just great.
He won't be in my team.
Yeah, didn't make the cut for me.
JB, what do you like from Germany and Spain? Then let's talk the serious part now. Now we've got that section out the way.
I'm probably not the best person to talk to on this one because this is a group I've avoided already. So Spain play Germany in the first 2 games. So again, with my strategy, it was a no-no for me. It was made it quite simple to try and avoid these 2 teams because I might get involved in the 3rd game. Obviously, because it's a tough group, if they do slip up or draw one of the other games, then I can pile in because they'll need a result in the 3rd fixture. But in terms of the players, I'm not too interested because I'd rather look at a group like Argentina where they're going to play 3 much better fixtures as opposed to having to play each other at some point. It just seems like an obvious avoid for me because why would you pick?
I don't know why. I just see goals in these games. I can just see Germany, Spain being a 3-2.
You think everything's going to be 7-1, don't you? Brazil and Germany again.
No, not the like proper game. I think like Japan could do some bits to keep goals going. I can just see a lot of goals in this group personally. For me, best pick Musiala for Germany. I think
okay. I thought you were going to say one of the Spanish midfielders actually.
I do like Sarabia as well, but I don't know.
Him. You absolutely love him.
Yeah, I don't know how nailed he is. I'm a bit concerned about the fact he only just got put in the game yesterday. That does concern me.
I don't think that's a Spain issue. I think that's a FIFA issue. I would be. He's going to start. I think Olmo will miss out. I think it'll be Sarabia, and Morata.
Yeah. There are just options there though, which does concern me a little bit on this game.
And Ferran Torres. Sorry, I forgot.
Is he expensive? I feel like he's expensive.
7.5, mate. He's fine.
Oh, 7.5. Oh, he's in my team. Yeah. Sorry.
He came on the game yesterday. That's why he's been omitted from your team. I think.
Yeah,
so.
He's a lot more expensive on Fanteam.
He's under 1% ownership. He's gonna be your boy. Yeah.
Okay. Bye Pulisic or no Eriksen can start off. Actually, I like.
Yeah. I wanted a Germany player in my team, so I landed on Kimmich. I just think he'll be good for those key passes, tackles. But I had Musiala. I'm just not sure he's nailed. I don't think he's nailed at all.
Really?
He's worth a punt on Fanteam because he's got the safety net. But here, I'm not sure I can risk it. He's been in my squad for the whole time. But he hasn't played any of the games leading up to the tournament. He's not nailed. Like he's just really fun.
He feels like I feel like it could be his World Cup. Like it could be one of those breakout stars. But the reason I wouldn't look at him is he feels like Jack Grealish for England coming into it last year, where he's on the bench, he comes off, plays 30 minutes. Everyone wants him to come on. Everyone's fully behind him. He just don't get enough minutes. So I'm not sure what way it's going to go.
I just looked at the first link on Google with their predicted 11 and he's there. So I don't know what you're on about.
Oh, you fine then, mate. That'll do it.
There's no way. If this second one comes up with him in as well, then it's just, that's...
He is absolutely amazing. He's having a great season for Bayern.
There he is on the left wing. On the other one, I had him on the right wing. He can play either side, Josh. He's just nailed. He's just nailed.
His preferred side is with Sané. That's why there's question marks.
And the thing is, if he doesn't play, you can just sub him off. There you go. Sorted.
They do play pretty late in the week, but yeah, he's like Kimmich is on my bench at the moment. So
Yeah, I need
Right.
some.
Anyway, Group F. We've got about 5 minutes. So
Belgium, Canada, Morocco, Croatia. So Belgium are the big boys there, obviously. I think Kevin De Bruyne is going to be extremely popular. Do we like Kevin De Bruyne?
yes, I think he's a really good pick for the 12th man at some point. Maybe it's this week for a lot of people. Canada at home. But yeah, Canada fixture. I think that seems really good.
Yeah, again for me, I like Belgium. I think it's a nice group for them. Croatia, they do have Croatia generally perform well at big tournaments. They've obviously got some decent players, Modric, but for me, I'm not getting too involved. Like you said, Kevin De Bruyne, I really want him. I think he's a stand. I think he's almost the best player in the world. So he's the type of player that if you get him, he's going to get some consistent points for you. But you make a really good point about the 12th man because he's a fantastic option for that because he's expensive. And if you can get him in for one of them games, that could be a good little strategy there.
So a lot of people are going to pay down in midfield. So I think they're going to find it really hard to get to De Bruyne, especially like in week 3, for example, if they need a result for whatever reason. So like being able to get to an 11 million player without having to worry about multiple transfers seems like a really good idea to me.
The other thing in this group as well that Belgium, Croatia play each other in the 3rd game though. So if you're going with the strategy of wildcarding in 3, you haven't got to worry about that. So Belgium actually have got 2 really great first fixtures. So if he was going with that, then the likes of De Bruyne, Meunier in defence, they could be real options for you.
Yeah, makes sense. Other teams out of that group then.
I think Hakimi and Davis are both 0.5 too expensive. They're both 5 million. I'd want them to be 4-5 like Mailer, I think, because they're just going to concede a lot of goals, or at least in one game they're going to concede a lot of goals. So they're the 2 talismen, even though they're defenders for these 2 teams. And they're both 5 million. I'm just trying to check Boufal's price actually, just to see if he's in play, but he is 6 million. That's okay for Boufal on penalties. Seems all right. Ziyech is 7. I'm not going anywhere near that, but Boufal at 6 seems. I think he's quite popular. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a tough group for Canada and Morocco with Croatia and Belgium. If they had one lesser team, then maybe, but Croatia and Belgium's a bit too tough, I think, for picking players from them 2 teams.
Croatia got the cheapest player on the game, haven't they? Have you seen him? Souza?
No, but he'll go in now. How do you spell it?
3.5. I've never seen a 3.5 before. That's crazy. He's a starting fullback for Croatia.
I do have a 3.5 million player actually. Similar, who's apparently starting. So yeah, likewise. We'll swap them. We'll get both of them.
Souza for Croatia, 3.5. That seems wild. A
starting
defender for Croatia. Yeah. And the thing is, they play later in the week, so you can just stash him on the bench to see if you get a lineup or something, or to see if the word in the air is that he's going to start. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Group
nice
G.
option.
Yeah, Group G, Switzerland, Cameroon, Brazil, and Serbia. Brazil, the tournament favourites. And some fun teams, Serbia and Switzerland, could cause some problems. What do we think? Brazil, what do we like? How are we looking at it?
Go on, Jeremy.
I was just going to say, the way I look at this group, it's an interesting group. I think Brazil are the only team you really want because I think they're the powerhouse of the group and they're going to do really well. But then you look at it and the other 3 teams, I don't think the other 3 teams, not exactly like they're minnows. I think they're all
pushovers.
No, they're fairly decent teams, the other 3, which again, that might cancel each other out a little bit because they're not going to have that super easy game against, Canada, Saudi Arabia, whoever. So it's a really tough group for Serbia, Switzerland, and Cameroon. So I'm not too inclined to get involved with them. And obviously, then they play Brazil as well. But then that's why for Brazil, I think they should go through comfortably, but they don't have that mega game that you expect them to win 4 or 5-0. They might just scrape through sort of like 2-1, 2-0, 1-0 in these games. So it's not a group I'm looking to pile on. I don't know about you guys. What was you going to say, Josh?
I was going to say I've got Neymar in my team. I just think he's the one who's guaranteed to play everything and get all the set pieces. He's really cheap on this compared to other games.
5 too cheap, yeah.
Are you not going with Richarlison, you two?
I don't think
favorite player.
Again, I think the safety net is not here on this game. I do not know who's going to start for Brazil other than Neymar. So I'm going with
Richarlison will start the first game, 100%.
Yeah, but that's
Well,
like
every
starting
game.
the first game isn't enough. You need him to start the first 3 games. You know what I mean? It's like it's really hard. It's really hard.
So,
with
so
them.
many good attacking players they've got. They'll certainly be rotating and players coming off subbed and stuff like that. So it's a little bit difficult.
They're also all
I might end up doing Richarlison and Mbappe up front and fading Neymar. Just take the price saving on Richarlison. Just because, like you said, JB, that group is difficult, and I think Mbappe is the better cap for game week 1.
Yeah,
So
all the Brazil players are strikers on the game as well, which is a disaster. I think that's really not good. Like
There's just so many in there. It's like Vinicius Junior, Jesus, even
they got
Rafinha.
8 strikers on the game.
Yeah.
That's mental. I've never seen a team with 8 strikers on any fantasy game. That is like really insane. To come back to Switzerland, I think Cher's really cheap at 4 million. Doyle's boy Akanji is 5. I don't know if he'll be able to resist that. Ricardo Rodriguez is 4-5, but he's not nailed. He didn't play in the warm-up game yesterday, so
It feels like Rodrigo's been in the fantasy world for about 20 years and he's always in everyone's team.
he's always been on penalties, and he's never gotten a penalty in a major
Yeah.
tournament.
yeah, so he's 4-5. Obviously, with the penalty upside, he was in my draft till yesterday, but I don't think he's nailed. So I'd lean more Cher at 4 million. I think one that's interesting to me that is probably for later in the tournament. Seferovic is 4.5 million up front. That seems ridiculous. He is there like one of their really good strikers. So I'd want to see that he's assured of minutes. But I think later in the tournament he could be really good for like a week 3 punt as an enabler or something. 4.5 just seems way too cheap. And Mitrovic is 7 million, who can never be a bad pick, I don't think, at 7 million.
It's a really good pick. He's a talisman again, so he's a pretty good one.
Yeah, and Cameroon, I don't have anybody.
Okay, last group. Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay, South Korea. Does anyone like Cristiano Ronaldo?
No, I don't.
No, not same here. I think there's so many other attacking options, and I think he's had his World Cups. I think his time might be not at this World Cup, shall we say? So twilight.
Yeah, I agree. Anyone else from this group while we try and rush through it? Uruguay, any Uruguayan picks?
Yeah,
I've
got
a little 3.5. This is the one where I had my Sly pick as well. I know Josh has got his. Jesus, how am I going to say this? Araujo. Just look for the 3.5 million player that begins with A. Apparently, he's likely to start in the Uruguayan defense. And again, like Josh said, a 3.5 million starter for a decent team, not to be sniffed at.
Oh yeah, that's a very good one. 3.5 as well. We can and playing later in the week. That's ideal as well because you can like weigh it up. I think.
Yeah.
I think ideally you want them playing at the start of the week. You shit ones.
So you want the shit ones at the start of the week so you can sort them out.
Because there's not going to be much attacking potential.
Yeah, I think it's fine to have one later in the week. I like the goalkeeper Roche. I think he's nailed 4 million. That's really good for a really good defense. Like they're a better defense than all the other 4-5s and all the other 4s. So yeah, he seems really good. Valverde's a little bit expensive for this game, but he will like hit the thresholds. I think the key passes, the tackles, the assists. Like he's sort of like designed to play this game. I think so. I don't think that's terrible. I'm probably just going to take him on other games where he's cheaper. And the one from Portugal who I think is really suited to this game is Bruno Fernandes. Again, key passes, assists, tackles, like that is him all over. Like that is his position. He's a tad expensive, but I think he's the one pay up spot I want to go for Portugal. So he's 9.5, but I think he could just have a really good tournament, especially if Ronaldo drops out for whatever reason. So yeah, Bruno Fernandes is the one for me.
Yeah, it's an interesting group. Again, I've not looked at it too much because I feel like Uruguay are a little bit underrated. I think they're a very good team who could easily win the group and cause the other teams trouble. So Uruguay playing Portugal again within the first 2 weeks sort of cancels it out a little bit for me. So I haven't looked too hard at these teams. But that's purely just based on my strategy. So if you're playing a different strategy to that, you want a wild card earlier or later, then by all means, there could be some points up for grabs.
You're saying that Rochette's nailed, Josh, in goal?
No, he's like 75% nailed, but for 4 million, I think that's enough. For the upside of the Uruguay goalkeeper. If it goes wrong, you can wildcard him too, I think. So I think that's all right.
Yeah. Okay, groups done, complete. We've got a little bit of time left to quickly run through our initial draft. Josh, do you want to run for yours first?
Yeah, I'm just going to read out the players on the pitch and then the 4 subs. So Turner from USA, Mailer, Estupinan, Cash, and Trippier. Ericsson, Skov Olsen, Bergwijn, Mbappe, Neymar, Messi. And then on the bench, I've got Roche, Bruno Fernandes, who plays later in the week, so he's going to come on, Kimmich, and Souza. That's my team. Just want to reiterate. Yeah, very, very light. I went for no one over 5 million because I know everyone else is piling loads of money in. I'm going to take a Raujo now as well from JB's pick, so I'm going to go even lighter, I think. So yeah, really like that. Very
interesting strategy. Yeah. I mean, I get why people are going with the expensive defenders, and I think it's correct. I think your team's ridiculous, but I applaud the, you know.
You got to try and win the game. I don't play for second. I'm a former champion. I play to win, all right? I'm not going to be like copying everyone else, like copy and paste James from Planet FPL's team. Not a chance. I play my own game.
Very good. And you're playing power captain, is that correct?
Yeah, I accidentally clicked the button and apparently you can't take it off. So I'm going to have a really high scoring captain this week, which is amazing news.
Unless all your players score 1 point. JB, what's your team looking like?
Yeah, I've only done a quick draft, so I ain't spent too long on it. But the missus is away this weekend, so I will be literally every minute of every day just doing draft after draft. So I'm looking forward to that. That's how I like to spend my weekends.
You can have 100 entries in the tournament. JB's wife at hotmail.com. Yeah,
exactly. So yeah, it's subject to change, but I've got Hennessy and Martinez in goal. Just taking a punt that Hennessy's going to be the starter. It sounds like he will be, but obviously Ward's heroics, as Josh knows all too well in the Premier League this season, could see him sneak a start. But
you're just so anti Danny Ward, it's crazy. I just don't understand your mentality. It's just not fair. It's
I was
right.
literally about to say, but then
Wayne
I thought,
Hennessy.
You know what?
No.
For Josh, I'm going to play Hennessy because the first 2 fixtures, Wales play England the last game. So Wales actually have got 2 decent fixtures against USA and Iran, and for 4.5 million, I don't mind that for Hennessy. But again, I might have a look around, see if there's any other cheap budget picks with similar decent fixtures. Emi Martinez seems now as the Argentina goalie, so I really like Argentina's fixtures. I just wanted to triple up on Argentina. Elsewhere, we have Trippier, Dumfries, Marla, Arahu. I can't pronounce that name. I don't know why. And Marquinhos for Brazil. I feel like I wanted some England representation just because England should do really well with the cleans. Dumfries so attacking, same as Marla. It's just ridiculous. And then, like I said, Brazil representation, and the other one's just really cheap, who I can't pronounce. Midfield, Bergwijn. Again, I really like Holland's first couple of fixtures, even the third fixture. I would have had Depay, like we said, but without him in the first game, Bergwijn could do really well. Ericsson, this game's, like Josh said, tailor-made for him with passes, that sort of thing as well. And obviously he's attacking for a decent team. Olsen seems to be an absolute bargain, so I want to jump on the bandwagon with that one, even though I've never seen him kick a ball, I don't think. Zielinski, I mentioned him for Poland. It seems like he's a cheap player who's got good attacking potential in the hole behind Lewandowski, with a couple of decent fixtures. Argentina, as I mentioned, I love their fixtures, and I think Martinez is an absolute bargain at 8 million. Messi, don't need to talk about Messi. We know how good he is. Griezmann, going to be the star of the show, obviously. I think he's just too cheap at 8.5 million for France, so I think he'll do well. And then snuck away on the bench because he plays later in the week, Kevin De Bruyne. But Josh might have talked me into having him as the 12th man and then spreading them funds around somewhere.
What, you didn't accidentally click a chip in your...
Not yet. I've got a weekend though, so with my tinkering, I might do it.
He's such a cheat, literally. It's incredible. He's got us to play this stupid chip, literally, and he's faded it. Yeah, nice one.
Like, go on, see what it does. See what it does when you play.
Yeah. We were the guinea pigs. He was like, let's see everyone else be the guinea pigs. It was us who were the guinea pigs.
Anyway, yeah, moving on. I've got low battery, boys, so we've got to wrap this one up.
Yeah, come on then.
Cool. Okay, my team. I've got Dominguez in goal for Ecuador. Plays in the first day. Not sure if he's nailed. Might change. As well as Silerson for the Netherlands. Just really like the fixtures. And think they're going to keep clean. Trippier, Dumfries, Mela, exact same as JB, which is pretty boring. Don't love that. I've got Afonso Davis on the bench for Canada. He's on penalties. He might not stay, but feels a little fun one because of how many points the defenders get for goals. And then Mounier as well, who again not sure if he's nailed. Need to check that one. But I love watching him in international tournaments. He's always great fun. Skov Olsen, same as JB. Captain America, Pulisic in my team at the moment, along with Musiala, Foden, and Kamada. So quite a balanced midfield, really, all mid-price sort of players. Gone really strong on the bench to do the swaps. And then Messi, Neymar, and Gakpo up front. Like I said, love Gakpo. Just really like him as a player. And playing the power captain because I clicked the button too. So committed to that. But it's all very subject to change at this point. I think none of us are very locked in on what we've got. So
except the power captain, which is not subject to change. That is
changed. That is locked in. Yes.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was good. We'll put our teams on Twitter ahead of the game week, so follow us on All in FPL, taking Josh's role there. And we'll commit to doing a podcast before the start of the next match day, I guess. Which I think
be fun.
Which I don't know when that is. That next Friday.
Yeah, Friday's the deadline.
Cool. So we'll try and do one either Wednesday or Thursday night, I guess. Well, Wednesday night it'll have to be because we'll have to get it up ahead of the deadline, won't we? So
it might just be midway through the round next week, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah,
just see what's going on.
Yeah, we'll see how we do. But yeah, Josh, you want to send us out of here? Remind everyone what to do.
Thanks, everyone. Please like the video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, All in FPL. Please follow us on Twitter, All in FPL. Thank you for listening to our debut World Cup video. Amazing.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
And it's goodbye from me and Anne.